Hello there, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about low serotonin debunked. And if this is your first time visiting my channel, my name is Dana Arcuri, and thank you for taking time to view this video. I'd like to ask you a question. When you are watching TV or you see different commercials, have you ever heard the commercials stating that you have a brain disorder, that there's a chemical imbalance, and that your body needs more serotonin? Well, today I'm going to talk about how that is a false myth and it is not true. So let's move on. The medications in the category of increasing your serotonin are Prozac, also known as fluoxetine, Paxil, and Zoloft. And if you do your research, there's more. Next, let's talk about these commercials. We can't escape television and the non-stop pharmaceutical advertisements. If we're on Facebook, Twitter, different forms of social media, scrolling through the internet, or we are watching television, we are bombarded with one pharmaceutical ad after another. And it's savvy advertisement. And myself, being an individual who at one time was told that I needed a little more serotonin, after 7 years of saying goodbye to pharmaceutical medications, including Prozac, I have done some research, and through my own healing journey of taking back control of my body and my mind, I have discovered that there is a lot of wrongful, inaccurate, and not truthful information in psychiatry, mental health, as well as the overall medical community. So we have to think about this. Where is this information coming from? While I am not a scientist nor a psychiatrist, and my medical disclaimer is that I'm not here to cure you, treat you, diagnose you, or to give you any medical advice, my main medical disclaimer will always be your own advocate, do your own research, and check things out yourself on credible websites. The best person who could help you enhance your health is you. Next, let's talk about psychiatry. What does psychiatry say? Psychiatry says that you do have a brain imbalance. Psychiatry says that there are people who have this low chemical called serotonin in their body, and that there is this deficiency. And I'm here to say it's not true. It's a rotten, deceptive lie. We don't need more Prozac. We don't need more serotonin. Let's move on to, Prozac was introduced in 1988. This drug and all antidepressants are considered the classification of drugs that are the #1 sellers in the pharmaceutical industry. It's very interesting when you do your research, when you go onto a wide range of credible websites and discover for yourself what was behind the big push in Prozac. Interesting enough, these antidepressants are not for temporary use. No, Big Pharma has a plan to have you become their long-term patient in which you will permanently take psychiatric drugs. Next, we have to also consider that, let's just say, serotonin really is the missing link in patients who have depression. Let's just pretend that this theory, this hypothesis that we need more serotonin, that it's correct. Then let's explain how come millions upon millions of patients are not finding help with their medications. How come Prozac, Zoloft, and countless other medications are not helping patients? How come patients are going into the doctor's office and they're sharing this great concern for negative side effects, severe interaction, suicidal thoughts and ideation, and changes in their personality, and after being prescribed such antidepressants that are supposed to help boost their serotonin, how come they feel worse? How come they become suicidal? How come doctors abruptly stop the medications in which patients can experience wicked withdrawals? Now, this leads me to question the theory and hypothesis that we have this chemical imbalance and that our body needs more serotonin. So let's talk about some professionals who have a lot more experience than myself, probably a lot more experience than you too. This brings me to the National Integrated Medical Association, in which in 1984 it was stated by the NIMH, elevations or decrements in the functioning of serotoninogenic, tongue-tied word, serotoninogenic systems per se are not likely to be associated with depression. So in layman's term, what they're stating is there is no correlation between someone having depression and someone truly having deficiency in serotonin. Next, I highly recommend you check out Dr. Joseph Mercola's website. I give him 2 thumbs up. Here's a quote from Dr. Joseph Mercola. He's a physician of osteopathic medicine. He is a wellness advocate. He's very well informed and educated, and he advocates for holistic medicine and clean nutrition. Quote unquote by Dr. Joseph Mercola, there is no evidence that there is anything wrong in the serotogenic system of depressed patients. The serotonin theory is not a scientific statement. It's a botched hypothesis, proven incorrect. Very interesting. Next, let's also consider that if there really truly is this low serotonin and these medications are not helping us, and then when we really look at statistics on how many patients are then prescribed one drug after another drug after another drug after another drug, somewhere in between this medical madness, we have to realize that this patient is being pumped with toxic chemicals. You cannot cold turkey a patient. You cannot abruptly stop Prozac or any antidepressant or psychotropic drug and think that there will not be a significant consequence, an impairment to a patient's central nervous system and neurotransmitters. We cannot think that the medical community is truly working on behalf of patients such as you and myself who may have either currently or in the past struggled with depression or anxiety. That when we look at the real picture of what's going on, we find out that in America many years ago, I mean, we're talking years and years and years ago, but it was in the beginning of the 1980s when Prozac hit the nation and became popular and the go-to drug for our psychiatric unit, our mental health specialist. We have to understand that Big Pharma was already in the works. They already were dictating to our doctors the scientific information. Therefore, if they wanted to give inaccurate information, which I personally believe there's evidence, credible evidence, that the pharmaceutical industry deceived our medical community. And let's also rethink Who is training who? Who is teaching who? Do we really want the salespeople, which is big pharma, the pharmaceutical industry, teaching our doctors about wellness? Shouldn't it be the other way around, where our physicians and psychiatrists are the ones who are the leaders? Why would we permit the pharmaceutical industry to be the root source of scientific information? Next, here's a quote by Alan Fraser in 2012 from the University of Texas Health and Science Center. He says, "I don't think there's any convincing body of data that anybody has ever found that depression is associated to a significant extent with loss of serotonin." Again, in layman's term, he's saying there is no evidence that someone is deficient in serotonin. There is no evidence that someone has a chemical imbalance in their brain. This is all a theory and a hypothesis that was blown out of proportion decades ago by the pharmaceutical industry, in which they are taking a very powerful stand on medicine. And then we have to think, okay, if this is the root of where all this medical madness began, and we have to also understand that the pharmaceutical company is the salesperson. They are the sales pitch. Representatives go into these medical hospitals and establishments and facilities selling their new magic potions, lotions, and pills in order to increase not only their wealth, but the pharmaceutical industry's wealth, which leads us to follow the money trail. Where is the money trail? Well, it's with the pharmaceutical industry. And unfortunately, some doctors have not done their own homework, and we cannot only blame doctors, we have to look at what is their medical background? What are they being taught? What are they learning? So it all begins with a hypothesis that is inaccurate, that has lost all credibility, but yet it's being advertised and shoved in our faces every single day with savvy marketing and PR and all these advertisements, in which, if you really pay attention at the TV commercials about Zoloft and Prozac and all these different drugs, they'll show this person who's sad. Then they're going to show that they took this drug because they had a chemical imbalance and they were lacking serotonin. And then all of a sudden they're going to show them all happy and they're golfing and they're with their family. Maybe they're having, this great date and it's sparking romance in their life because now they no longer have depression. But then what you're not seeing, because remember, you're getting a visual, and visuals are big for people. So you have this happy picture, but then you're audibly hearing all the negative side effects. So real fast, the ad will speed up and it will tell you all the nasty negative potential side effects of these drugs. And yet the person on the other end of the TV screen is telling you how much they needed this serotonin boost and that it's dramatically impacted their life for good. So I'm here today to say it is an inaccurate, very heartbreaking situation in our nation, especially in the United States of America, in which I am here to say today, I don't need more serotonin, I don't need more dopamine or epinephrine. No, instead, I need peace of mind by taking back control of my own body and mind, myself. And we have to understand too that our nation is reprogramming us to believe their theory. I challenge you today. Think for yourself. Speak for yourself. Advocate for yourself. Enhance your health today, people. You can only change you, and it begins by learning and educating yourself. Look for me on danaarcuri.com, and please share your own stories about Prozac and other serotonin medications. Have a great day.